I know.
Thank you. All right, what do you want us? Carrie, which chair do you like? All right, good deal. And I think I have your name tag, I think everybody knows you, so.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, this is
Well,
so
I
much
know.
fun.
I know, it's true. So anyway, I do want to say before that I'm really honored to be here. And of course, be side by side with Debbie, one of the Financial Women of the Year recipients, who I could be interviewing you. Yeah, and I know today's just it's all about networking and supporting one another. And you and I have gone back and supported one another in our careers and from a professional and a personal level. And I think, to me, that's just really key as women to have each other and to have an organization like this where you can bring all parts of your life together and make it enriching. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents. I just wanted to kind of say how much it means for me to be here.
Well,
with you.
And when they asked me to do this, I'm like, are you kidding me? I would love to do that. It's just like having a chat with my gal pal. So, and happy International Women's Day. Is this cool? I'm excited about, want to wear my favorite suit and make sure I try to keep up with Carrie and her great fashion too. And just turning on the TV and seeing Laura Albert, the CEO of Williams-Sonoma, talking about the importance of women in leadership and advancing women, and just all the great energy and aura around that. So really smart move to have this event today, and how cool to do it with Golden Gate University, and be able to have this kind of a conversation. So I'm really fired up about it. So Carrie, I'm going to get right into it. You, like me, have been with the same company for a very long time. In fact, I think our entire careers. Well, mine for sure,
Yeah.
since January 18, 1982. So tell me, and tell the group, what's it been like to be with a company that long?
Well, I surpassed you just a little bit. I started at Schwab in 1976.
I do not believe it. You were 12.
Well, you're right. I was 16. And you look at it today as such a Fortune 500 company, but it was a total startup. My dad asked me to come work for the summer, and I've told this story many times, but it was basically in a middle of some office on Montgomery Street or office building, and it was one kind of big room with desks floating around, and it was my dad and his senior executives. It was not posh in any way, no privacy. And then next door was a conference room, an oversized conference room with a big oval table. And we had our brokers around the table with their black rotary phones. And then in the corner, you had Henrietta, the switchboard operator. I mean, I felt like we were in the 1920s or something. So it's
And that's our lifetime.
Yeah, in our lifetime. I guess you didn't have, it was a Rome, I guess we went to Rome phones, and before you, I don't know, you had to have an operator. But anyway, that was my first stint. I was a file clerk. I thought I was a secretary until my dad said, no, you were a file clerk. And I know, don't even think that big. I changed my resume. And after that, but from there, later on, I did become, I went through a training program about a year after college. I did try to go into shipping, by the way, of all things. And that's a whole other story. I don't know why I thought I was interested in that. And so I came back about a year after college and went through an intern program where we were about 20 of us and we rotated throughout headquarters. And I remember my dad saying, then we would land in a job, and this is during a very growth, time for Schwab. And I remember my dad saying, if you really want to understand business, you have to go work with clients. Go work in the branch. And so I think there was only 2 of us out of 20 who actually went into the branches and serving clients. And I did that for about my first 15 years in my career. And it's, to me, I'm just so glad that I did that, obviously, right? Because I do feel a certain empathy for individuals, for individual investors. And then it was there, I was doing a lot around women and investing in that capacity, and so, and philanthropically, so then I was asked to lead the Schwab's Women's Initiative, which was not an internal, see Lori nodding, she remembers those days, It was more about being more welcoming company to women investors, and also doing a better job with our existing women clients. And then because of that advocacy, then I was asked to oversee the Schwab Foundation about 15 years ago. And I always tell people I have the best job ever because I can take my business acumen that I've learned and apply it to a higher purpose and really help Schwab and our employees and the community in a way that I otherwise would never have the opportunity.
Yeah, and just to think about all those things along the way that you learned and sort of helped you build your own personal balance sheet of the skills and experience and such a well-rounded executive that then you become.
Yeah, and I just, a little side thing, my dad just turned 80 this summer, and we had a long weekend in New York City. It was just, he didn't want friends, he just wanted his kids and grandkids. It was really sweet. And we had a dinner, and a big dinner on the actual birthday, and he had written out this whole speech, primarily to the grandchildren. And it was very cute. He didn't even have a drink beforehand. I don't know why he was nervous or something. It's kind of funny. But the two things he really talked about was the importance of humility in your life, having humility, being humble. And then he also talked a lot about giving back. And it struck me, while I've never heard him say it that blatantly, that that's what he's imparted on all of us at Schwab and how we try to live our lives as a culture. So it's pretty cool.
Well, they do say the tone is set at the top, and that is his heart, and that is what you all have done. I'm not surprised. And I'm not surprised. It makes sense, too, because knowing you as long as I have, I mean, you could do whatever you want to do, etc. But you have this wonderful, caring and humble heart that comes through. And if you don't, you don't have the privilege of knowing Carrie like I've been able to know her over the years, I think that's really powerful and important, something women need to remember. That
to be okay,
not
it's
just
okay.
that it's okay. Be aspirational, shoot for the stars. But remember, at the end of the day, it's about relationships, it's about family, it's about giving back to the community. And I just think you embody all that, so whatever it's worth. One thing that's another common thread about you as I think about your journey, which makes complete sense, but it's also, I know it is truly your heart, is you're concerned about financial literacy. And that's been something that you've been committed to for a long time, and I think in particular for women. So can you comment a little bit on that passion and your thoughts around that?
Yeah, well first of all, I have some colleagues in the room and they know this, but my dad did, the whole purpose of finding the company was to break down the barriers of Wall Street. He didn't like the way individuals were treated and the barriers to entry to be an investor. And so that's been sort of a passion of ours as a company. And of course, I know apples don't fall far from the tree, so I'm sure there's a little bit in my DNA. But I do, I think about, you talk about, why financial literacy. My parents, when I was 9 years old, divorced. And a lot of people don't necessarily know that. And my dad was a struggling businessman for many years, and he was very much struggling then. And my mom was a Stanford Phi Beta Kappa. They both met at Stanford. I was born there. But she was definitely a woman of her times. A homemaker. I want to be sensitive to her, but sort of dependent in a way. And I think it was from there that I decided that it was so important for all of us, in particular women, because of the roles that we have played, historically, to be to be engaged with our finances, and so I think that's the impetus of where that kind of love and passion comes from. But my work has not just been with women. My team and I have been working for years on. It started all with women, but with inner city teens, working poor over 50 to the rich, and to the everyday person. And what I found in my work, and I'm sure all of us in this industry found, that the lack of financial literacy in this country cuts across Americans from all walks of life. And that it is, it's blind to socioeconomic status, to gender, and to age. And I was just reading an article coming over here. It said that 66% of millennials between 21 and 31 have zero, savings. So it's starting all over. And at 55 and over, 1/3 don't have any retirement. And 50% of Americans can't come up with a $400 emergency fund. So it's, to me, it's about a better life. And I will share a story. Is anybody here from Goldman Sachs? Do you have anybody, guys? Okay, so. Okay, good. I think it's curious. All right, I don't know. I never know to tell a story, but it's a good story. I gotta tell it. It's because it is related to women, but I don't think it's really just about women. About 15 years ago, I was introduced to Janet Hampton, who started the 85 Broads. And everybody probably knows 85 Broads, right? I see some nods. It's a networking organization. It was born from Janet, who worked at Goldman, and it was all Goldman Sachs folks. And at the end of the conversation, we were connected because we cared a lot about women and our empowerment and advancement and so forth. And toward the end, she started to hint to me that she wanted me to be the spokesperson for 85 Broads, which, by the way, is now LMS, Sally Conch's organization. But she was hinting to me about being their spokesperson, and I said, Janet, why would you want me? Why would you want somebody from Charles Schwab, coaching, mentoring around financial literacy? You are Goldman Sachs. You are the titans of Wall Street. And she said, Carrie, so many of us got out of college. We earn salaries almost the size of some CEOs, and we have nothing to show for it. We squandered it away. So to me, this story, you think, oh, it's just for the fringe, but it's all of us. And you talked about women. To me, it's all about financial literacy or engagement, whatever you want to call it, is foundational to all of our general security, our social mobility. I mean, that's really what we're talking about today: our mobility and confidence. So, and being able to do whatever we want to do.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and I can't even imagine being in a bad situation and not knowing I understand my finances and understand my budget and know what bills to pay, etc. I can't imagine not being in that role. So I can see it cutting across. I remember my nephew who just was between his junior and his senior year at Wake Forest, and smart, really bright kid, and came out, had some interviews with some of the tech companies out here to do an internship, wound up working for Google. But he came back to our house after a couple of the interviews that day, and I said, so, I kind of talked to you about these internships and maybe working on your pitch as you talk to them. What else can I do to help you? And he said, you can help me understand how to do a budget. And you're just thinking, wow, this
Take
is
it for granted.
Highly educated, smart, got a great job, and I think it's important, as you said, irrespective. Maybe switching gears a little bit and talk about careers and some of the challenges that we do face as women. What are some of the challenges that you have actually faced in your career? I mean, because it's kind of hard to, it just looks like you've had this wonderful career, although I am reminded about your company, your dad's company, being a startup. You just think about that. You just think of this huge Fortune 500 company and don't think it. So, I know it wasn't all roses and everything along the way. So maybe share with this group some of those challenges.
Yeah, obviously we all have our own unique circumstances and challenges. I would say a couple of things. One is being the boss's daughter. Let's call spade a spade. Obviously there's benefits to it, but there's also the struggles. I pretty much through my career have disregarded that, operating on my own self. I'm not him, I'm me, and I try not to let that chatter get in my way. But, you know, I sort of looked back over my career, and I didn't really realize it, but my dad has such a fear about nepotism. And he even admitted to my husband recently that he probably has gone overboard with not really supporting me the way maybe he should have or could have. And of course, I'm, you know, proud that I can say that I did what I did by myself. So that's a good thing. But then what's funny is that I think people thought, oh, she's taken care of by her father. And then on the flip side, my dad thinks, oh, well, she's being taken care of by her bosses and, you know, the executives at Schwab. And none of it's happening. And so, but that's not really, I mean, that's not necessarily unique. I think what I learned is a couple of things. It took me a long time to ask for what I need and want. And also, that you need to seek out mentors and your own advocates in a way, and not sit around waiting. I was in a leadership program, my first leadership program in my 40s, and we were assigned a mentor. And it was there I learned how important it is that women helping women in networking. I was afraid to ask anybody for help. Why would anybody want to help me? And now, of course, I get so much joy when young people or anybody comes to me for advice. And I realize we all love to give advice, and we also all deserve it. So I you know, that, you know, unique that I'm the boss's daughter, but probably deal with a lot of the same issues of finding those sponsors and those wise people in your life. The other is this is a little bit unique to me also. I mentioned I took over the foundation about 15 years ago, and people say, oh, do you work for the business? Yes, I'm an executive at Schwab. But one of my primary roles is running the philanthropic arm of the Schwab Foundation. When I was asked to run it, I went to some of my advisors and said, you know, what do you think? Women, you know, and they told me that you shouldn't do it. Don't do it, because it's the soft side of business. You'll never be considered serious. And I thought a lot about it, and I disregarded their opinions. I heard them, though. I heard them. And some of what they told me was true. You know, a philanthropic arm of a corporation is not core business. But I was determined. One of the reasons I took it over is, to me, it was like running my own little business. I mean, it is. I have a board, you know, I have governance, we have an audit, you know, budget, strategy, you know, all that, and programs, products. So I disregarded it, I took it over, and my goal was to make it invaluable to Schwab and to try to prove them wrong. Now, you know, it took a long time. It was, you know, it was not something we did overnight, you know, but we persevered. You know, we planted the seed, we watered, we pruned, you know, we prune, we grow, and so forth, fertilize. And today I feel really proud about what Schwab's philanthropy and foundation represents and mean. I mean, to me now it is, and Laura, you tell me if you think so. I haven't asked her this before, but it's a true strategic lever for our company. And that my staff gets hit up and requests all the time, not just for money, but for counsel on how do we utilize the foundation on behalf of the business. And so to me, it is part of the bottom line. It's, you know, it supports, it enhances our brand. We care deeply about our brand. We know it attracts talent, and we know it retains talent. We know it opens doors to things we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. So anyway, so what's my you know, learning there? You know, listen to your advisors, but don't always listen to them. You know, follow your heart and what's right. And know, you know, some of the things that they might tell you could be absolutely true, which they were for me, but I chose to, you know, again, persevere and go forward and prove them wrong.
You know, so many great learnings out of that, you know, I mean, and you're right, you know, you would think, oh, it must have been easier, but it may have been harder for you, you know, in some ways to do what you did, but you know, number one is, you know, raise your hand and ask for the opportunities, it sounds like, and it sounds like you, and also what I love about what you said, and I'm going to take it to heart too, anything I do, and I think I continue to give advice to young men and women, is do the very best at what you do. Make it, like you said,
Yeah.
you're gonna make it the best darn section of Schwab, and show that it was a business and how it aligned with the business strategic priorities as well. I think that's super important
Yeah.
to do, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, and also measurement.
Yeah.
On the for-profit side, it's easy, but even marketing's really hard to measure, right? And philanthropy's hard, but just be as diligent as you can.
Yeah.
I know that, I think, almost 98% of our employees say that our Schwab Volunteer Week, we have a National Volunteer Week, they say that it makes them want to recommend Schwab as a great place to
I
work.
was gonna say, you've got
Yeah.
to see that in some of your numbers in terms
Yeah.
of performers and retention and
Yeah.
attraction.
I have senior executives who go out to the field and they tell me, Carrie, everybody just wants to talk about our philanthropy. It's great, yeah, it's great. So I love hearing that.
Do you have a mentor today? It's, or is it kind of like what I'm through my career, it seems like there's been really more role models than there has been just like one mentor at a time, it's been.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, you're catching me, I would say there's not one mentor. I mean, there definitely have been over the years and informal stuff. This is a new thing I've learned. I just went through, this is really personal, I just went through a program, sort of a personal development program. And they talk about, this is going to sound corny, but we're in California, right? San Francisco.
It's okay.
Your spiritual self. And I'm not religious or anything, but what it reminded me is, oh gosh, I really do have good intuition, and I have a heart that can tell me, a head that can tell me, it can advise me. And so I think one thing that we don't do, we operate so quickly. I'm a doer, do, but not sit back and say, okay, self, how do I feel about this? Is this good? Is this right for me?
Yeah.
So
A little self-mentor.
A little self-mentoring, yeah. But just taking that quiet moment to say, and it just can be quick advice.
Yeah.
So
Incredible. I like that. It's going to be my new thing.
but I'm a big, as you know, Debbie, I really rely on my women friends. And I have a lot of professional women friends and who are sort of in the same stage where our kids are kind of out, just get out of the house and we're thinking about next careers and so forth. I mean, the girlfriends are the best. Yeah.
So true. The sisterhood. So as we start to think about this conference, are there some parting advice or words you want to share with this group as they begin today's conference?
Well, we didn't talk as much about financial literacy as I usually talk about, but given that sort of my,
Exactly. Your thing.
My thing, yeah. Well, let me cut two things. One is, and I've done enough speaking to know, and I mentioned Goldman Sachs' story, that even those of us who are in the business aren't always taking care of ourselves. So like you said, I think when I say financial literacy, I mean just have the basic knowledge of budgeting, tracking your expenditures, understanding that saving is good, but investing is even better. Obviously managing your debt. I mean, we had a study at Schwab, 63% of women, affluent women, have trouble sleeping over their finances. And their biggest worry is their 60, and they're affluent.
73.
Oh, 73, thank you, sorry.
We got an RE over here.
Yeah, okay, so there you go, 73%, and the number one worry is outliving your money. So I think the more engaged, involved, the nest egg that you prepare for and so forth, provides that confidence, right? And that's that deeper sleep at night for all of us. So that and to me again, it's foundational to everything we want to do. It gives us more choices in life. The other is it's not around financial literacy, and it is about, because I think this conference is also going to touch upon sort of gender equity and so forth. And this is just a little side story. When I was in my early 30s, I lived in Atlanta. And I worked for an insurance company that, to be honest, I was not very proud about. It sold products that I did not feel like I didn't like. And it was my first job after getting my MBA. I was getting paid more, you know, it was exciting. But it was a total Southern old boy company. And so, you know, I was a kind of a beginning professional. And I remember the company had a sales meeting, not a sales meeting, a golf tournament for their a sales golf tournament. So they were entertaining their banker clients. And they asked the women, the junior professional women, to be the caddies. You know, to wear Bermuda. You see, all of you guys get it. Some people don't get this. They don't get just that much. I don't that's like it. But the Bermuda shorts, you know, look pretty, look sexy, you know. And I remember some of them were sort of flattered, and a lot of them were ticked off. Now, for me, I guess you could say it was a blessing or not. I don't know. I mean, I think it was. I was 8 months pregnant. So I did not get that. I was not very sexy. And but what I learned from that experience, you know, going back to Schwab, is how important it is to live your values, and to work, and that means not only live them in your daily, you know, personal life, but work for a company that you align with their values. I did not align with their values in any way, and it's a miserable experience. So that would be, I would say, financial engagement with your own finances. I know a lot of we're all here in finance and we're doing it for clients and so forth, but do it for ourselves as well, and especially for our daughters, and then live your life according to your values.
Great advice, fantastic advice. And I think, you know, I would also just say for this group, you know, this is about advancing women in finance. And, you know, certainly Carrie and I have had our career in finance, Carrie in financial services, mine in accounting, 36 years. And it's such a great career. And so as some of you that are in here are either at the university or, you know, just earlier in your career or midway in your career in finance or financial services, it's a great gig and a great career to have. So any other thoughts you'd like to share with this group as we think about bringing this thing to a close?
Well, I think I've hit on it. I think my only thing is that you're all lucky to be here together and utilize this time if you don't know each other to get to know each other. And Kathy, you didn't ask me to say that, but again, so much of my life is connecting with my professional girlfriends and supporting one another, and so this is a wonderful venue for that. And I love the agenda for the afternoon. So anyway, I just want to say thank you again for inviting me today.
And if you're not a member already of Financial Women in San Francisco, tell people, like, it's so easy to join it. You have to join it. A perfect segue for you, but some of my team members brought me years ago to the first event. I think it might have been the Financial Women of the Year lunch, and just the outstanding women that I was able to network with and the program, et cetera.
It's a wonderful lunch.
Yeah, for sure. But Carrie, again, I mean, what a thrill to be able to do this with you and catch up, and just congratulations for all your success and what I know is lying ahead too. So thank you. Thanks, everybody.